Hello you fantastic people, and welcome back to another Borderlands 3 video. Hope you guys are all doing well. In this one, got another exciting one for you guys. It is my level 65 Terra Moze build. It's actually my first level 65 Moze build and I absolutely love it. This thing is so much fun to run through all the bossing and all the mobbing situations in this game. Absolutely destroys all of them. Low-key does just as much damage as Flak, maybe even more in some situations, and there's so many weapons you can use in this thing. It is just a all-in-one Moze build. It doesn't, depend on one particular weapon. You don't need any DLC. Of course, if you have DLC, there's some of the better weapons and like items, for example, the Pearl in this game, but you do not require any of them to do as much damage as I'm about to start showing you on screen via these clips. I ran it through so many takedowns over the last couple of weeks. Actually, I've been pretty much making this build since level 65 came out. I just kept delaying posting it, kept delaying it. I just wanted it to be perfect, and the Terra Anointments made this thing the absolute perfect Moze build. It allows you to use pretty much all three of her trees in their entirety. You get all the bullet regen with that beautiful Terra Anoint. You get all the shield regen, so you are one of the healthiest Vault Hunters there are. Honestly, I think she has to be, because she has so much damn shield. It's ridiculous. In some of these clips, I got up to like 300, 400k shield. It's nasty, as well as, of course, all the splash damage you can handle. It's kind of a ton of fun, just destroying the entire map, to be honest. But yeah, in this video, I'm going to go over everything for you guys, including the Terra Anoints you want to look out for, the weapons you want to use, the best ones, but you can pretty much use any weapon in this game that is viable in this build. It's not specific to a particular gimmick or anything like that. Of course, the gear you guys want, shields, class mods, all that good stuff. This skill tree as well for level 65, because you get so many damn points into a skill tree as well as Mayhem modifiers, which you may need for the next couple of weeks, unless you guys continue using them once Mayhem 11 comes out and we no longer have to worry about those Mayhem modifiers. As you guys are seeing on screen, this thing is absolutely disgusting in the damage department. That is my favorite thing to do with these builds. As I'm a Flak main, I'm all about damage over everything else, especially survivability. But now that we have these Terra Anoints for ammo regen, Moze can have all the stuff, all the splash, all the damage, all the ammo regen, and all of the shields in the game. It's kind of amazing. You have like 400k shield, so it doesn't matter how much splash damage you do. You can blow up the entire room and Moze's shield will tank it for you, which is kind of amazing, and I really dig it. Had so much fun running this thing through the takedown today, probably like 20 times reverse warrior 10 today, let alone how many times I've done it over the last few weeks, as well as Guardian takedown. All the bosses in the game got their fair share of farming with this build, and the amount of weapons you can use to absolutely annihilate things is ridiculous. I'll definitely have a montage of disrespecting Grave Ward with the amount of weapons I have in my backpack. There are more options, by the way. If they're not in the clips, it doesn't mean they don't work with the build. It just means I flat out ran out of backpack space. When making this build, I had to throw out so many good weapons because I just didn't have the space. But yeah, hopefully the clips are doing this build justice on screen. Let's get into the good stuff though, the Terra Anoints. This is a Terra build for the Halloween event that ends on November 5th. It definitely works. After that, you just have to get the Terra Anoint gear beforehand so that it can continue working later on. If you guys are on PC, there is always a PC save file in the description of my video or in the Discord, which is also linked down below. The first thing is you guys need to be able to apply Terra to yourself for this build to work post the Halloween event ending and the ghost leaving the game. The way we're going to do that for this build is using a face puncher with melee attacks have a 25% chance to apply Terra to yourself. Just essentially switch to that, hit the enemies a couple times, you'll have the full stacks of Terra, then you can activate the other anoints we're going to rock for this build. On the shield, I've got the While Terrified gain ammo regen. The more Terra you have, the higher the bonus. And then on the grenade, apologies, we have the While Terrified gain increased damage and fire rate. The more Terra you have, the higher the bonus. Essentially, these three in combination are a disgusting amount of damage, and the ammo regen makes up for essentially having less points in green tree and having the same amount of ammo regen, which is awesome for Moze in particular. Now, if you don't manage to get all of these, the grenade anoint isn't too much of a big deal if you don't have that one to increase damage and fire rate. It's no big stress if you don't have that. You can also get these anoints in a different way around. For example, I'm pretty sure the melee attacks can come on the grenade, the ammo regen can come on the weapon, and it's a bit all over the joint. But if you can get those three in combination, or at least the ammo regen and the apply Terra to yourself somewhere in the build, can be sweet. Now, as for anoints, we're going to be rocking URAD for as many weapons as we can manage to get that on, because we're going to be rocking no health, a ton of shields, so URAD is going to be one of the strongest anoints for most weapons. You don't have to have it. You can have consecutive hits on most of them. Works out just as well, sometimes even better. And next to mags could work, depending if you want to jump in and out of Iron Bear often enough. It's up to you guys, but URAD is the goal for your weapons. As for weapons, on top of course the face puncher being the staple, the flipper is actually the only other weapon you'll ever need for Moze ever because it's just so perfect for her. Essentially, because her ammo regen is so damn good, the flipper can have all of its pellets up all the time, getting the max amount of damage out of it. Plus, it does splash damage, which is perfect for Moze's skill tree, doing a ton of extra damage. It is a DLC 3 weapon, so don't stress if you don't have DLC, there's plenty of other options. The Bloodstarved Beast is from DLC 4. This thing is amazing. Difficult to get, but really, really good if you can get this one. The fire rate is so damn high, you won't really be able to get that ammo regen back as well. But if you stop shooting every once in a while, you don't actually have to hold the trigger down like you do the flipper for max damage. So essentially just be cautious with the ammo and you never have to reload it as well. And you get a ton of damage out of this thing. The Monarch, of course, is pretty much a staple for every build. Destroys bossing situations, really good for the Guardian takedown in particular. If you want to destroy that last boss as quickly as that was in the clips. Other weapons we got in the back here, the critical, amazing DLC for weapon, destroys all the things in mobbing situations in particular. Put it on sticky mode, the explosion radius is huge. The light shows, of course, we got URAD on all of them, and they are absolutely amazing as per usual. The Unkempt Heralds, I actually don't have that good of rolls for either of these because they are a little difficult to get. These are really, really good though, would recommend. The critical does outperform it a little bit, but they are both really, really good. The Gargoyle is amazing for, honestly, they don't even have to be armored enemies, it just slaps anyways, but in particular, armored enemies are great. We have an Unforgiven in here because I have a URAD max damage one. I got this on stream the other day, and it's amazing. So if you want to mess around with that in Iron Bear, or if you want to crit swap with the red line and just annihilate everything in this game, then you can use that if you'd like to. I thought I'd chuck it in there for the save file. The Bangarang, believe it or not, works really well with the Moze. The Hell Shock is absolutely amazing. Also a great weapon to keep that mag size up and just being able to spray that everywhere, doing a ton of damage. Got some more Bloodstarved Beasts. We got the other Flipper. The Chaos is absolutely amazing. One of the best assault rifles in the game at the moment, particularly for Moze, because that elemental explosion after you kill an enemy is amped so much more with Moze's abilities. Of course, we've got the other Monarchs in here. Just slap all the things in this game. The Rogue is really, really good. I actually just picked this up literally in the last clip I was recording for this video. That's really good. The Rebound, also amazing. The OPQ system, if you still have that one in your bag from level 57, the cartel event, it's still amazing, trust me. The red line is really, really good now as of the buff from last week. It's amazing, try it out. The Dakota, believe it or not, it's a Jacob's weapon, but it still slaps with Moze, would recommend. The Hellwalker, a little bit harder to use, but definitely still does a ton of damage with Moze, particularly with all that extra fire damage. It's amazing. The Major Kong, the Globetrotter, the Backburner, the Plague Bearer, all are great, as well as the Yellow Cake. All great rocket launchers you can use with Moze. Pretty much any rocket launcher works really, really well with Moze because she has so much extra splash, damage, radius, all the stuff. It's amazing. The Sandhawk sniper rifles are fantastic as well because they do splash damage, high fire rate. You can get a little bit of ammo regen, but the fire rate's so quick you do end up dumping the mag, if I'm going to be honest. But to be honest, by the time you dump the mag, the thing should be dead. Now, as for shields, you may be limited for which one you can get the Anoint on. It honestly doesn't really matter. It's whatever one you like using. I'm rocking a Transformer, one because they're really easy to finding vending machines with this Anoint. Plus, it's really good with Pool Party for survivability, getting that shield regen. Absolutely amazing. I would recommend getting it on Transform if you can. I also have these Anoints on front loaders because I didn't even realize that Moze has the URAD ability in her skill tree. It's up to you guys. If you want to spec that, then you don't have to use a front loader. If you don't want to spec that, spend it somewhere else, you can use a front loader. However you want to achieve less than 50% health, you're more than welcome to do it. You can even use a Deathless artifact if you want as well. Now, as for grenade, of course, the Cloning Maddening Tracker is the best grenade for Moze, but I totally understand not everyone's going to be able to get that Anoint on this grenade. It was super difficult, and I have spent so many hours literally since the Halloween event came out checking every single vending machine I went past, and I managed to get one Maddening Tracker, not a cloning. We've also managed to get a Maddening Tracker with on grenade thrown for the save file for you guys. I still have managed to get a upgrade for my level 61. The Vindicator, or any version of the Gas Coal, amazing with Moze. The extra splash damage and radius is amazing. Would recommend. Now, I know both of those grenades are difficult to acquire, so don't stress. If you can't get it on those, just get the Anoint on any grenade, honestly. If you can get it on a tracker one, even better, because you want it for survivability as well as that extra damage. Now, as for class mods, we actually have 3 different options. The first one for mobbing situations is the Bloodletter. This thing is amazing for survivability, a ton of extra shield, but also damage as well. Get as many points in this one and this one as possible, because you get a kill skill that gives you so much damage and shield. It's ridiculous. And as for bossing situations, the Minesweeper is definitely the one to go for. This thing is amazing. It hits for millions and millions of damage. If you hit critical hits, it destroys all the bosses. That's pretty much how we destroy Graveward in seconds with pretty much any gun, honestly, with Moze. And that's not a great roll. It's only got Assault Rifle, Jacob's Crit, and splash damage on it. Most of those weapons don't even follow into any of those categories, and it still slaps Graveward. And as for our third choice, the Blastmaster is actually a solid option as well, particularly if you want to change the build up a little bit to not be a URAD setup. Otherwise, you're pretty much just going to waste the Vampire points because you're not really using those at all in this setup. As for artifact, of course, the Pearl is definitely going to be the best option for this build, but if you don't have DLC, the Snowdrift Victory Rush is the second choice I would highly recommend. The Victory Rush is actually a really good option for this build because you're getting so many kills so damn quickly. You're getting that movement speed and that damage up really, really quickly, and it works out pretty damn strong as well. You can also use a Deathless if you want to, rather than spending the points in this skill tree to reduce the health below 50%. You can just use one of these if you want. I've got an Atom Bomb Deathless, should help with the explosions of radiation to clear rooms even faster. Now, as for Mayhem modifiers, these are the ones I would recommend. Speed Demon is pretty good for the Guardian Takedown in particular, being able to just run through everything. You can do some skips, etc. The Healy Avenger is a fantastic one, honestly, for any build ever. It's really neutral. It's great. Pool Party is if you are rocking the Transformer. You can honestly get so much shield regen with that thing in any takedown. It's great. If you're not using a Transformer, then chuck on a Drone Ranger. That's pretty much just as neutral as Healy Avenger. And then down the very bottom, go Postmortem or Body System. I really don't like either of them, but they're pretty much the only choice for Moze with this build. Or in a couple of weeks, we're not going to have to worry about this whatsoever because Mayhem 11 is coming out, and these won't exist anymore, which is fine by me. All right, let's get into the skill tree, starting with the blue tree. A few of these in here are the necessary ones, and some, honestly, you can move them wherever the heck you want. Starting off with the Fire in the Skag Den, it's honestly one of Moze's best skills. This thing has Mayhem scaling and does a ton more than what it says on the card. Rather than 15% extra fire damage, I think it's over 100%. It's kind of ridiculous. Definitely put 5 points in this one here. Then put 3 points into Means of Destruction. Essentially, when you deal splash damage, which is pretty much all the damn time with Moze, you get bullets back in the mag, which is exactly what you want for this build. Then put 5 points into Torgue Cross Promotion. Essentially, splash damage and splash damage radius is increased, and it's well worth it for clearing rooms. Really, really good. From there, put 5 points into Stainless Steel Bear. Increase max fuel, armor, and damage for Iron Bear. It's really, really good being able to jump in that. I don't do it too much for this build, if I'm going to be honest, but it is fun having the option. From there, put a point in Auto Bear. Essentially, whenever you jump out of Iron Bear, it'll stay up and be a little sentry gun, essentially doing a ton of damage as well. I put 3 points into Pull the Holy Pin, essentially having a chance to hit critical hits with grenades 30% of the time, and then 3 points into Vampire. Honestly, you don't have to put all points in here if you don't want to. 1 or 2 is honestly all you usually need, particularly if you have a good matting tracker, cloning matting tracker. Essentially, the better grenade you have, the less points you need in this ability. Only spend points in here, by the way, if you are rocking the Bloodletter, because we're going to be getting the health back into the shields. If you're rocking the Minesweeper, you're not going to get any bonuses from this because we're not going to have any health in this build. It's going to be all the shields. I spent 3 points in there because honestly I didn't really have anywhere else I cared about, and it was just to get us down to Short Fuse, which is an amazing capstone. Essentially, whenever Moze deals gun damage, there's a chance of a secondary explosion centered on the target, and that means a ton of extra damage for Moze. It got Mayhem scaling and absolutely wrecks. Would highly recommend putting it in there. Then over to Green Tree, we've actually only gone down 2 rows of this tree because we have that extra Terror Anoint helping out with ammo regen a ton. So you only have to go down this far to get all the extra ammo regen you need. 5 points in Cloud of Lead. Occasionally, Moze and Iron Bear shots will deal bonus fire damage and it won't consume ammo. Every 4th shot does not consume ammo. It's really, really helpful. That also moves us down to Redistribution. This thing is an amazing ability. After Moze scores a critical hit, which I'm personally aiming for all the time because I'm a flak main and I'm very used to it, but I would recommend aiming for them as much as possible just for pure damage, but also the ammo regen in particular now. She regenerates ammo and health for a few seconds. The lower her health, the more powerful the health regen. Now we're actually still using that health regen because we're using the Bloodletter class mod, and our health is always super low, so the health regen or shield regen is going to be actually really significant. significant. From there, 5 points into Scrappy for extra weapon damage and handling. The weapon swap speed and the switch mode speed doesn't really bother me, if I'm going to be honest. It's mostly for that extra weapon damage, and handling is actually pretty helpful with Moze. Now over to the beautiful red tree, we're going to put 5 points into armored inventory, essentially while Moze's shields are active, which is all the time. If they're not active, then we are down. We're getting increased damage reduction and gun damage by 15 and 13%, which is pretty solid. That gets us down to drowning in brass. It's a kill skill that stacks 3 times for 15 seconds. It increases our gun damage by 60% at max stacks. It reduces our fire rate by a little bit, but honestly it actually helps out our ammo regen anyways, so it doesn't really bother us. That gets us across to thin red line. This is essentially achieving our URAD setup, which gets us all that extra damage, and it actually increases our shield by a ton. Essentially it's reserving 80% of our max health and putting it into the shield, which adds up to a lot of shield. Then to Flight Off Ingenuity, if I pronounce that correctly, increases our max shield and our shield recharge rate, as well as giving us some shock damage resistance, which is actually pretty helpful. Then down to Experimental Munitions. Whenever Moze or Iron Bear scores a critical hit, they deal bonus fire damage. 15% of damage dealt, which we're already doing so much damage, and you're getting that bonus fire damage again, which is super, super strong. That gets us down to this beautiful skill right here, Desperate Measures. Moze's gun damage or Iron Bear's weapon damage are increased depending on how much health she has. The lower the health, the greater the increase. Because we're using a URAD setup and reducing our health by a ton using this ability right here, we're getting pretty much all the bonus of this, which is 67% extra gun damage, because we have an extra point from our class mod, which is super, super strong. Pair that with this kill skill, which I honestly have no idea how to pronounce it, but it is absolutely amazing. It's essentially a kill skill. For every stack you get bonus max shield and gun damage, and the stacks last 30 seconds. There is no stack limit, which is kind of amazing. 16% extra gun damage and 24% bonus max shields, and they last for 30 seconds. So as many kills as you can get in 30 seconds, you're going to be amping your gun damage like crazy and your shield capacity, which is nasty. That is with an extra 3 points in the class mod, but even without it, it's a really, really good ability for doing a ton of damage in a tree that is all about giving you a ton of shields. It's just like the best of both worlds, a ton of survivability and a ton of damage. Then we opted for the capstone. You can actually honestly go either of these. It's up to you what you prefer. I ended up going for this one because whenever Moze's shield is fully depleted, she instantly restores a portion of her shield, which is awesome. It's honestly like a fail-safe of a URAD setup. If you're about to go down, this capstone helps you out. And her gun damage is increased for a short time. Also amazing, I'll take extra gun damage. This skill can only be triggered after Moze's shields have fully recharged. Essentially, it restores 40% of max shields, and gun damage is increased by 30%. That's kind of amazing for a URAD setup, particularly. Now, as for Iron Bear's weapons, honestly, I switch them out all the time depending on what situation I'm in. I mostly rock these 3 elemental types here, and it works pretty damn well. The only one you don't have access to is this one here and these 2 here. Other than that, you can use nukes. Nukes are a ton of fun. I use those all the time, particularly in the melee 1 takedown, because it takes out those melee 1 guys in one shot, which is awesome. And that is everything I have for my level 65 Terra Moze build. I really enjoyed putting this one together over the last few weeks, and it's a ton of fun to use. Really hope you guys do enjoy. If you guys found this video helpful or enjoyable, don't forget to smash subscribe down below. It does help me out a ton, and I really do appreciate it. Actually found out that this month, 90% of people that watch my videos are not subscribed. So if you want to help me out, it is totally free and does amazing things for the channel. If you want to help me out even more, if you smash that like button. If you have any questions, suggestions, anything like that, let me know in the comment section down below. I also have a Twitch that I stream to every night. I have a Discord with awesome people in, and I also have a Twitter. All linked down below as always. I hope you guys have a fantastic day. I shall see you guys next video and a live stream. Till then, adios.